Part 3. Fighting Back Depression. One of the recommended treatments for depression is cognitive behaviour therapy, also known as CBT. CBT explores 3 parts of depression that we talked about earlier. The way we think. It helps us to question the way we think about events and situations. How we feel. It helps us to understand, manage, and tolerate our symptoms of sadness and low mood. And what we do. It helps us to change what we do to become busier and to engage again with life. The aim is to move away from feeling depressed, where negative and critical thoughts can lead to feelings of sadness and tiredness amongst others. This in turn can lead us to withdraw and stop doing things. CBT helps us to move to more balanced thinking, which helps us to feel better. In turn, we may then feel more motivated and able to join in with activities and face challenges. The goal is to learn to cope with low mood, not to get rid of these feelings completely. We all have times of feeling down or low, and this is normal. The aim is to help your child tolerate and manage these feelings so that they don't interfere with life and stop them from doing what they want to do. Alongside this video are some worksheets that can help you and your child learn to fight back depression. These will take you through the following steps. Monitor your mood and what you do. Feel better and manage your emotions. Get busy. Identify and challenge the way you think. Learn to solve problems. Step 1. Monitor your mood and what you do. When people feel down, they stop doing things. They may not go out as much and may spend more time on their own. A useful first step is to help your child check what they are doing to see if there are any times during the day that they feel worse than others. A helpful way of doing this is to keep a diary. For each hour, encourage your child to write down what they did and how they felt. They can choose a number from 1, very weak, to 100, very strong, to rate the strength of their feeling. A worksheet, what you do, how you feel, is included in the accompanying resources. In the What You Do, How You Feel worksheet, you will find a diary like that shown here. Encourage your child to complete the diary for 2 or 3 days and then review it with them and look for any patterns. For example, is this what was expected, or is your child beginning to feel better? When are feelings of sadness strongest? For example, when they're in their bedroom on their own. When are unpleasant feelings weakest? For example, when busy and helping mum. If there are any times when feelings of sadness are particularly strong, it may be possible to explore whether things could be done differently. If a young person feels worse when they are in their bedroom on their own, could the amount of time spent in the bedroom be reduced? Could homework, for example, be done downstairs? Or if a young person feels particularly sad in the morning when they wake up, could they try a different routine? Could they get up straight away instead of lying in bed listening to their sad thoughts, or perhaps listen to some music instead? Or if a young person feels particularly sad returning home to an empty house after school, is there something else they could do? Could they arrange to meet up with a friend after school, join an after-school club, or perhaps visit a relative? Experiment and see if changing things can help to make your child feel better. Step 2. Feel better and manage your emotions. Constantly feeling sad is horrible. However, we tend to accept and live with these unpleasant feelings rather than looking after ourselves and doing something to make ourselves feel better. There are many ways that we can help ourselves, so encourage your child to experiment and find out what helps them. Encourage them to develop a toolbox of feel-good ideas so that if one doesn't work, they can try another. The Feeling Better handout provides a number of different ideas. Find out which work for your child. Remember that the more they practice, the more these ideas will help. Step 3. Get busy. When people feel down, they often feel tired and stop doing things, even those things they used to like doing. Hobbies, interests, activities, or visiting places happen less often. The third step is for your child to get busy and to start doing things again. Help them to make a list of the things they used to enjoy but have now stopped. Don't do very often but would like to do more. Or haven't done but would like to try. A worksheet called Have More Fun is included in the resources which accompany this video. Some of the best activities are those that involve other people. For example, activities could be shopping with their sister, meeting a friend in a cafe, or going to the park. These activities help your child reconnect with others, or give a sense of achievement. Activities that give your child a sense of pride or accomplishment, such as fixing their bike, playing an instrument, or baking biscuits. Or activities that are important and meaningful. There is no point simply doing something if it's not important for your child. If your child likes reading or playing a guitar, encourage an outing to the local book or music shop, rather than a trip to the supermarket. Once you have helped your child identify some activities, build them into their week. Choose one or two and agree when your child will do them. A worksheet called Plan More Fun is included. As your child starts to become busier, they may find that things don't seem as much fun as they used to be. Don't worry, the fun may take a little longer to return. Just keep reminding your child that they are doing well and that being busy gives them less time to listen to their negative thoughts. Step 4. Identify and challenge the way you think. The fourth step is to help your child find out more about the way they think. We all have negative and critical thoughts at times. This is normal. The problem when people become depressed is that they think like this all the time. They never seem to recognize the good things that happen or their successes. They become trapped in these negative, critical, and unhelpful ways of thinking. Depressed children are more likely to keep thinking about the things that have gone wrong. For example, if only I hadn't sent that message. Or to blame themselves for the things that go wrong. For example, as soon as I arrive, people start arguing. Or to generalize failure from one area to all parts of their life. For example, I did really badly in that exam, I'm going to leave school without any qualifications. Or to feel hopeless, that things can never be different. For example, I'll never have any friends. Thoughts like these are unhelpful as they make your child feel down. They are demotivating and don't encourage your child to try, and they can make your child give up and stop doing things. To help your child get out of this way of thinking, they need to develop more balanced ways of thinking. Instead of only looking for evidence that they are a failure and are unsuccessful, they need to actively search for the positive things that happen and when they have been successful. Instead of simply listening to the unhelpful thoughts that tumble around their head, they need to check them out and see if they're seeing the whole picture. To help your child develop a more balanced approach to life, you can encourage them to keep a positive diary. Each day, ask them to identify 2 or 3 positive things that have happened. These could be examples of things they enjoyed or achieved, things that made them feel good, or nice things people said about them. Because your child is so used to looking for evidence that they are a failure, they may find this difficult. You will need to help them think through their day and help them discover the positives that have happened. It is a nice task to do with your child before they go to bed. As they fall asleep, they will be focusing on their achievements rather than their failings. Watching the list grow will help your child to recognise that although things are hard, good things do happen and they can be successful. A positive diary is included in the accompanying resources. Because we hear our negative and unhelpful thoughts so often, we simply believe them and don't stop to check them out. Encourage your child to check out what they are thinking and to discover whether there may be a more balanced and helpful way of thinking. This can be done by using the Catch It, Check It, Challenge It and Change It worksheet in the accompanying resources. The first step is to catch the unhelpful thought that is making your child feel depressed. The next step is to check out whether your child is making things out to be worse than they really are. The third step is to challenge it and to look for any evidence that supports and challenges this way of thinking. Is there something positive and helpful that your child might have overlooked? The final step is to change it. On the basis of the above, is there a more balanced and helpful way of thinking about this? How does it work? For example, catching the thought. A young person may have been feeling low after getting a D for their maths assignment and caught the following thoughts. I never get good marks for my schoolwork. I'm just stupid. The young person can then check it. Is it really the case that they have never had any good marks for any of their schoolwork? Then challenge it. For example, the young person might like history and do okay in drama and art, but be in the bottom of the class for maths, English and science. And finally, change it. The young person might find academic lessons hard, but find they are creative and get good marks in their drama and art classes. This process helps to put things into perspective. It acknowledges that they do find some of their schoolwork difficult. It challenges how they think about themselves. They are not stupid, but do better at more creative rather than academic lessons. It stops them from generalising poor marks in maths to all their schoolwork. And it helps them to identify their strengths and to recognise that they are good at drama and art. This way of thinking is more balanced and challenges their thoughts of failure. Another way we can check our thinking is to ask ourselves what someone we respect or value would say if they heard our negative thoughts. Many of our thoughts stay in our heads and we don't say them out loud or question them. Use the What Would My Best Friend Say worksheet in the resources pack. Write down the thoughts and ask your child to imagine what their best friend or someone they value would say if they heard them thinking this way. If they find it hard to imagine what someone else would say, ask them to imagine instead what they would say to their friend if they heard them thinking this way. Step 5. Learn to solve problems. When people feel low, they often feel overwhelmed by their problems and unable to make decisions. They may put decisions off and hope that their problems will go away. Unfortunately, they don't, and often ignoring them only makes things worse. The fifth step to fighting back depression is to learn how to make decisions and to solve problems. This involves the following processes. Define your problem. Help your child to be specific and to clearly define what they need to do. Now encourage your child to explore their options. The aim at this stage is to find as many solutions as possible. Once they have some solutions, explore the consequences of each. Ask your child to think about short and long-term consequences and the consequences for them and for others. Now make a decision. On balance, what is the best option? Then put it into practice. Try it and see what happens. Finally, check whether they would do this again. How does this work? An example is a young person who found it difficult to stand up for themselves, worrying that they would be selfish or that others would be angry or criticize them. This made them feel sad, thinking that no one listened to them or was interested in what they had to say. They were also worried that if they spoke up, that they would lose their friends. The young person had felt like this for a long time and decided that they needed to do something to make themselves feel better. The first thing was to define the problem. This didn't feel very easy, but after talking, the young person defined their problem as wanting to feel better around their friends. Once this was clear, they explored possible options about how they could do this. They could try and say exactly what they wanted and not hold back. They could do nothing and just learn to live with it. Or they could make a fresh start and find a new group of friends and then try to be themselves. They were then helped to work through the consequences of each option. You can see an example of laying this out below by writing down each option and the positives and negatives associated with each. As with many problems, there was no easy or simple solution. It was clear that continuing with the current situation was the worst option. Changing the friendship group was a big challenge and wasn't really possible. They decided that the best option was to try and speak up, although they were worried that they would upset people if they did. They talked about this and worked out a small way to test this out. The young person usually walked home with two friends after school. Their friends walked slowly and kept stopping to talk, and it took a long time to get home. The young person wanted to get home quicker and decided to see what would happen if they spoke up. She decided that if they stopped, she would say, "Sorry, I need to get home tonight, so I will carry on without you." If the friends put pressure on her to stay, she would stay calm, respect their views, but repeat her position. "That's fine if you guys want to stop here, but I do want to get home," and then walk on. She then took the next step and tried it. The next day as they walked home, her friends stopped as usual. This time she was prepared to speak up. Instead of stopping with them, she said she wanted to get home. To her surprise, her friends heard what she said. They weren't angry and carried on walking with her. Afterwards, she felt pleased with herself for speaking up. Her friends didn't get angry or criticize her. Although this is not always easy, it showed that there may be times when she could speak up and be heard. This increased her confidence to do this again, and she started to speak up in other situations. A problem-solving worksheet is included in the accompanying resources. We hope that these ideas will be helpful and that they give your child some ideas about how they can fight back their low mood. This will be hard work, but by working together as a team, you will be able to support your child and help them to be successful. Good luck.